What's up, everyone? It's the OOTP GM, and this is the 27th episode of my Detroit Tigers GM Let's Play here on Out of the Park Baseball 18. So we're here at the International Free Agent Signing Period. Before I get into that, because there are actually players this year that we can look to sign for the first time in a number of years, there's actually worthwhile players. I just want to give you guys a quick update on how the team has been doing. So we've really opened up a nice lead in the division now. We're 7 games ahead of the Minnesota Twins and 8 games ahead of the Cleveland Indians. Team has been playing really well recently. You can see we continue to play really well on the offensive side. We're up to tied for 4th in home runs. Still second, and first in the other major categories. Pitching-wise, 5th in starter ERA, 3rd in bullpen ERA. You can see everybody except for Duffy is pitching really well. And bullpen also is also doing very, very nicely. So really can't complain with how the team has been performing, and happy with their progress. And then in terms of our draft picks, we signed everybody that we wanted to sign. Belk took our offer of $3.2 million. So Brooks and Bonilla were the only 2 guys that'll be left unsigned because they're asking for too much and it's outside of our draft budget. But with that, go ahead and move into the international free agent signing period. So as you can see, there's actually players here that have decent value on the market. And I was looking over some of these guys briefly, and there's a couple that caught my eye. Obviously, the starting pitcher, left-handed starting pitcher, and this right fielder, both of them, their demands are right at the cap of $5 million. So essentially, if we offered them a deal, they're the only guys that we're going to sign. We'd only be signing one of them because we'd have to offer them the full $5 million, and more than likely they would sign with us. The other one is this 18-year-old second baseman, this Juan Aponte. So I wanted to click on a couple of these guys. So Aponte, I really like the fact that he's loyal, work ethic, and intelligence are all high. Pretty fast. He's a decent fielder. Only plays second base, but decent fielder. But I like the fact that his contact ratings rate out really high. His contact ratings rate out high, and his avoid K ratings rate out really high. You like to see that. OSA is really high on him in terms of his avoid Ks and his contact and gap power. So he is really tempting. He is 18, which is a little bit old for guys in the international market, but he's really tempting. The other guy that I was looking at was obviously the starting pitcher, 16-year-old left-hander. Future as a starter, ground ball pitcher. Rates out to have 3 pitches above 60. Most of his stuff here rates out pretty well. And OSA is kind of the same thing. They like him overall as well. Don't know anything about his personality, but he is a left-hander, which is also really nice to see. So I was kind of debating between these 2 guys, and ultimately I've decided to offer a deal to this the lefty pitcher. And the reason why is because even though the second baseman might be able to help us more immediately, we are so young and flush in terms of our team with position players that we really need young pitchers that eventually will be able to come up through the system and help us. So I'm going to offer, the full $5 million to Ricordi, I think is how you would pronounce that. I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce his first name, so I think Ricordi is how you would pronounce it. So we're going to offer him a deal. The other thing I wanted to know real quick, too, that I forgot is we lost Luis Santana to a finger injury. We called up Dwayne Pippy, and he's been playing really well. If you remember, he was a high draft pick for us back in 2019, a second-round pick. And he's been playing really good for us in 12 games, hitting .350. So that's very nice to see. Obviously, he'll be sent back down after, Santana comes back from his injury. But still, very, very happy to see him doing well after he's called up. So anyways, we're going to go ahead, and I'm just going to move forward real quickly to the draft pick signing deadline. And we'll see if we get Ricordi, I believe is, like I said, how you pronounce that. See if he accepts that offer from us. If he does, great. If not, then there's obviously other players that we could always look to offer those deals to. But one of the things that I thought was was really interesting was not only finally having players that were worth our time this year, but also the fact that they're let's see. Oh, and there we go. So it only took a couple of days, but he did sign. Most of the time with these guys that are right at the $5 million peak, if you offer to them right away, they will sign. So we do get Ricordi into our system, and he's obviously going to be the only guy that we offer a pick or offer a contract to, because that takes us right to our $5 million cap. And I'm sure this is another terrible offer, and it is. So that's going to do it for the international free agent signing period. I'll jump forward real quick because, as I'm sure you saw up here, my computer's running a little bit slow this morning. I'm going to jump forward to the All-Star team announcements. We'll see who made the All-Star team, and then I will plow forward to the trade deadline. And again, I don't anticipate us making any moves, but if something comes up, then we will address it if necessary. But at this point, I don't anticipate us making any moves. But I'll see you guys when the All-Star teams are announced. All right, so we are here at the announcement of the All-Star teams, and we had quite a few guys make the All-Star team this year. So Bo Burrows and Michael Fulmer both made the All-Star team. There are some guys that are currently injured, like Chris Sale and Jacob deGrom, who made it. By the way, Jacob deGrom ended up signing with the Toronto Blue Jays like a couple of days into the beginning of the season. So, you know, because we were always obviously looking at maybe signing him to a deal. And then in terms of other players that we had make it, AJ Minter's having himself a really nice year. He made the All-Star team. Drew Steckenrider made the All-Star team again. And then in terms of actual lineup players, not as many as I would have thought. Just Mike Trout and Bryce Harper. Those are the only position players that we had make the All-Star team. I was really surprised that, you know, Max Pentecost and a handful of other guys on our team didn't make it, but that's the way that it goes sometimes. So, but those are the All-Stars that we have. So I believe that's 6. Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, Steckenrider's 3, Minter's 4. Yeah, so 6 All-Stars this year. So, you know, this just goes to show how good of a first half that we've had. So, very happy to see that. And you can see we are still maintaining our lead here in the division, 8.5 game lead now over the Cleveland Indians. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to skip forward now to the trade deadline. Again, I don't anticipate us making any moves, but obviously if a major injury or something else pops up, we'll have to see. But I'll skip forward to that, and we'll see how the team's doing, and we'll take it from there. So I will see you guys at the trade deadline. All right, so we are here at the trade deadline, and as I suspected, we're not in a position where we're going to be making any moves. Everybody on our team is healthy. Everybody's playing really well. We don't have a need to make any sorts of moves or trades or anything like that, so it's going to be a very blah and boring trade deadline for us. As you see, we've opened up a 13-game lead now in the division over Cleveland. We're 71-33. You can see now we're first in the American League in both starter ERA and in bullpen ERA. We're also still, near the top in these categories. We're up to 3rd in home runs, 5th in defensive efficiency. So the team is playing excellent. Pitching staff continues to do really well. Duffy's kind of been hit or miss, but, again, we just need a 5th starter to be there, just to kind of be a placeholder. And the fact that he's a lefty veteran, is nice. The only disappointments really so far through this point of the season is Vladimir Guerrero, unfortunately, has not been playing particularly well. He had that really great, when we called him up last year, he played really well. He's been very down this year, so I don't want to give up on him because he's only 23 years old, but we'll have to keep an eye on him and see how he continues to play. Obviously, Harper and Trout are continuing to do really well. Santana's numbers are about the same as they were last year, so he's been doing really well after he came back from his injury. And like I said, Pentecost has been in a little bit of a slump recently, but pretty much everybody is doing really well. And then, like I said, pitching is their same thing. So, but one thing I did want to do here at the trade deadline is I wanted to go in here. I'm going to renew a couple of my expiring contracts. So Ryan Sandberg is up for his contract expires at the end of the season, and obviously when he led us to a World Series title last year, and the team is, maybe the best team in baseball this year. I'm going to go ahead and offer him an extension. And he's going to want a lot of money, as you can see. But when you win a World Series, obviously you're going to get a big raise. I'm not going to give him 5 years. I'm going to give him 4 years, because that's going to kind of be like the end of the run that we're on. But the 1.9 is not a big deal to me. I would actually like to see him take a little bit less, because that's a pretty big raise. But I'm going to offer this to him and see if he's willing to take it. He says he will respond to our offer. Again, I fully expect him to take that. I will update you guys at a later point, but I fully expect him to accept that offer. And then in terms of our trainer is also up, so we're going to go ahead and offer him an extension as well to keep him around. He's just looking for a modest raise. 3 years is fine, and he has accepted and signed our contract extension. So we got him locked up, and now as you can see, he's locked up. We're still waiting to hear from Ryan Sandberg, but I will show you guys that probably at the end of the season episode what ended up happening with Ryan Sandberg, if he accepted that offer, if he wanted more money or more years, or whatever the scenario ends up being. So anyways, with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and just end the episode here. Pretty short and tight episode at this point, but like I said, we're not really doing anything at the trade deadline. There really isn't a reason to talk about anything else. I will just give you guys kind of a quick update on the rest of the league. The Blue Jays have a 1-game lead over the Yankees right now, and then the Astros are running away with the AL West over the Oakland Athletics. In the NL East, the Mets have a 2-game lead over the Phillies and a 5-game lead over the Braves and Nationals. So that looks like that could be a competitive division. Cubs running away with the Central, 12-game lead over the Cardinals, and the Dodgers running away with the West with a 9.5-game lead over the Giants. Your wild card leaders are the Indians and the Yankees, and the NL is the Phillies, and then the Braves and the Nationals tied for the second wild card. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end things here. I want to thank you guys for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. Comments and feedback are always welcome, and I'll see you guys for the next episode, which will be the end of the season episode and our playoff preview for whoever our opponent ends up being in the first round. So I will see you guys for episode number 28.